The first duty of government is to protect our rights.
It's our job to maintain the proper role of government in what we were tasked to do.
Obviously, we over budgeted last year. I hate to say that I was right, but I was right. So.
And I think that that's what we need to look at more, is trying to get back to what we used to be, where our churches and our families took care of each other instead of relying on the state.
And we have no way to maintain control over the spending of this program, and it will be a disaster for this state long term.
But we have a whole gamut of kids whose parents would like to do something for them and they cannot.
I take our constitutional rights, the constitutional rights of my constituents, very seriously.
This is simply about putting it out of reach of young, innocent, vulnerable children and making our libraries and schools a safe place for them to go.
And I am increasingly frustrated that we cannot stop ourselves from drinking at the public trough.
He's sounding the alarm. He's saying if we don't address these issues, we potentially might have greater problems moving forward.
Mr. Speaker, no matter how you look at it, no matter how you boil this down, there is never any time that a parent's right to govern what their children see and what they're exposed to should ever be bypassed.
If I was looking at a business and I was looking at these figures, there would be heads rolling because this is unsustainable.
We're supposed to be bottom-up government. We're supposed to be representing my citizens' ideas and your citizens' ideas, and we're supposed to be discussing them and debating them to come to a conclusion.
We need to start making Idaho first. We need to start making America first.
We need to be protecting our First Amendment rights, not inventing ways to slowly chip away at them.
First Amendment and our freedom of religion, freedom of speech are our first liberties. They are so important. We don't have the rest without them.
Appreciate it, Mr. Speaker. Again, this is not a legal document. It's a memorial. It's a statement. And the cost that we're spending on this in terms of hours and debate could have been better used. Probably could have funded a couple troopers and maybe a few vehicles, maybe a roof on a small school. This is really, at the end of the day, nothing more than a grumpy letter, but with our names on it. The fiscal responsible thing to do is to stop it here and to stop it today, which is what the majority of Idahoans wants. If you look at the submissions of what people, the written testimony provided to the State Affairs Committee, of the initial 426 comments submitted, 424, 99% were against this. I think a better way to approach this, and I respect the good lady's perspective on this issue, is to just write a letter, have some folks co-sign it, and put a stamp on it and send it to the courts. And let's be clear, if our government is going to be in the business of marriage licenses, and nothing says it has to be, then we need to do it consistently. Marriage is a profound institution. It uniquely incorporates, the three tenets of the first sentence of Idaho's Constitution: property, safety, and happiness. There are 1,300 rights and benefits across our body of laws that flow to married couples.
All right, folks, we are listening right now live on the House floor. This is Representative Todd Achilles from District 16, the Democrat out there arguing against House Joint Memorial 1, which seeks to ask the Supreme Court to reconsider Obergefell versus Hodges, the marriage, the case that dealt with same-sex marriage, which basically overruled our Constitution here in Idaho. And so the main purpose of this memorial here is to take back state sovereignty here. It should be left to the states whether or not we should have this debate on marriage, as much as with many other topics. And so we'll keep tabs on this debate here, as we knew some Democrats will stand up, even though he just said we shouldn't be wasting time on this. He's going to take all the time in the world to make his point, as will some of his other Democrat friends, I imagine. So this this went through committee. We expect it to go through the House here, but it might be close. So we'll definitely keep tabs on that. Over in the Senate right now, the Senate has been going through gubernatorial appointments, but we also expect that Senator Brian Lenny's anti-SLAPP legislation will be heard and voted upon today. So if that happens, we want to cut to that as well. And so we'll keep tabs on that. That's Senator Lori Den Hartog there. She's the majority leader in the Senate. Let's go back over to the House, though. It looks like Representative Clint Hostetler, one of our good pledge signers here, is speaking on this. So let's dip in here a little bit.
Drift away. I think it's important, just like Roe v. Wade, that we take the time and the courage and make statements to pull ourselves back to the dock of the morals in our founding documents. Our nation's made many mistakes in its history, and it's precisely because of those morals and founding documents that we've righted the ship, if you will. And there's many different facets and facts and realities about this situation, but I do want to discuss a few. We could go hours and hours pointing to Bible verses in Scripture that validates the institution of marriage given by God and how it's between a man and a woman. You could even refer to Jesus when he validates it himself in Matthew, speaking of what the Father has joined together, man and woman become one, let no man separate, right? We won't do that. We could go to the years of social science that has documented how children who grow up in nuclear families with the same mom and dad are happier, healthier, and more successful as life goes on. But we won't dig into that. We could discuss the millennia of cultures and civilizations that up to this point or recently have recognized marriage as one man and one woman. We could even talk about the reality of how quick that decision could have shifted had two of those Supreme Court justices recused themselves, as they should have, from that case. This nation would look dramatically different from there. We could even discuss the topic that marriage to some people is not a right, it's a privilege. But we're not going to discuss that. We're going to stick, as validating and as compelling as many of those points are, we're going to address the issue of this memorial, which is that this is about the heart of our Constitution and it's about the law, being that the reserved powers of the state and the 10th Amendment essentially still mean something. And according to our state constitution, by the way, marriage is still recognized between a man and a woman. Mr. Speaker, I'd like to read a quote, if you don't mind, to finish this up.
Is there objection to the good gentleman reading a quote? Hearing none, good gentleman.
Thank you, sir. Quoting the dissent, the good lady from 2 touched on a lot of topics, but Chief Justice Roberts is quoted saying, although the policy arguments for extending marriage to same-sex couples may be compelling, the legal arguments for requiring such an extension are not. The fundamental right to marry does not include a right to make a state change its definition of marriage, and a state's decision to maintain the meaning of marriage that has persisted in every culture throughout human history can hardly be called irrational. In short, our Constitution does not enact any one theory of marriage. The people of a state are free to expand marriage to include same-sex marriages or couples, or retain the historic definition. He finishes with this. He says, if you are among the many Americans of whatever sexual orientation who favor expanding same-sex marriages, by all means celebrate that decision. Celebrate the achievement of a desired goal. Celebrate the opportunity for a new expression of commitment to a partner. Celebrate the availability of new benefits. But do not celebrate the Constitution. It had nothing to do with it. So whether today's discussion is just meaningless or pointless, I don't see it that way. I see it as the vital fabric to our society, that being the families, and everyone knows marriage is the linchpin to that. So today is a statement that needs to be made. Thank you.
Further debate on the motion. Gentleman from 11.
Mr. Speaker, thank you. Debate in favor.
Gentleman has the floor. Debate in favor of the motion.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. So I'm debating in favor of the House Joint Memorial. I believe that, yes, while our Supreme Court is the supreme law of the land, they're the ultimate decision in what happens with regard to our laws and upholding or overturning certain laws. They are human. They do make mistakes. I believe that just like the Roe v. Wade decision was bad jurisprudence, I think that Obergefell versus Hodges was also bad jurisprudence. And to that end, I feel like that decision has overrun the 10th Amendment of the U.S. Constitution and has usurped our rights as a state. And to reflect the sentiments and made by the good gentleman from 24, the Idaho State Constitution clearly defines marriage as being between one man and one woman. And so, again, I vote in favor of this joint memorial. Thank you.
Further debate on the motion? Hearing none. The good lady from 18.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, to briefly debate.
Lady has the floor to briefly debate. I heard you throw that adjective in.
Yes.
Okay, let's hop out of this. This will be Democrat Ilana Rubel from District 18 to stand up against this. But right now, over in the Senate, they are considering Senate Bill 1001. How do we say that? Senate Bill 1001. How about that? Which is the anti-SLAPP legislation presented by Senator Brian Lenny. SLAPP, of course, my good producer is always reminding me, strategic lawsuit against public participation. This is when someone is trying to silence you, so they file a lawsuit to just get you to shut up, even though you haven't done anything wrong. You just voiced their opinion. You just voiced your opinion. So this bill, we've talked about it on the show many times, is now being heard on the Senate floor. Senator Brian Lenny opened debate, and it looks like Senator Todd Lakey is speaking right now. Let's dip in a little bit and hear some of his opinion.
It is a nuisance case. It allows the court to dismiss that case and award attorney's fees. Senators, the integrity of our judicial system is incredibly important. We need integrity in all three branches of our government, particularly the impartiality of our judiciary. People need to be confident that they're getting an independent and unbiased review, and that the legal system is not being used to the advantage of some parties that may have the resources to be able to do that. I think this legislation helps protect the integrity of our judiciary and our legal system, and I'd encourage your aye vote. Thank you.
Is there further debate?
Mr. President.
Senator Rutke.
Thank you, Mr. President, to debate in favor of the bill.
You have the floor, Senator.
Thank you, Mr. President. The senator from District 13, although he may not be an attorney, did a really great job of presenting the bill and the concepts and how it will affect the legal system. I'm in favor of this bill for the reasons stated by the senator from 23. And I want to clarify, the right to jury trial, as you know from some of my other debates, is really important to all of us. It is found in both the United States Constitution, or Bill of Rights. It's found in the Idaho Constitution. In fact, the Idaho Constitution refers to it as a right that is inviolate, cannot be violated. It is essential for a functioning democracy, a functioning republic, and so it is extremely important. So why would I vote in favor of a bill like this? Well, in our judicial system, in our right to have a trial, there are certain junctures within that process, filing a lawsuit and getting to trial, where the court gets a chance to look at what has been brought before him or her and determine whether the lawsuit should move forward. Without this bill, the first gate would be a motion to dismiss. That's where a judge, for a variety of reasons, might dismiss the lawsuit. For example, one of those reasons might be you just haven't stated a cause of action, a claim that's recognized by the law. There is no law. Even if the facts are exactly like you say they are, there's no law that says you have some sort of redress. So that's the first, and that's usually within about 6 months of the lawsuit being filed. The second place where the lawsuit might be dismissed is a motion for summary judgment. And that's where the court would say, yep, there is law that supports your claim. But even if the facts are as you say, no reasonable juror could determine that you prevail. And so we're going to dismiss the lawsuit. But that is done rarely. And when the court determines whether reasonable jurors could find in your favor, they take that very seriously. In other words, the tendency, the trend is always to allow, except in rare cases, the case to go to trial because you deserve your day in court. Does not mean you'll be successful. You may go through all that and have the jury say, thanks for showing up, but we think this was a horrible case. But it's going to be a jury that tells you that, not a judge or another attorney on the other side or a corporation or some other entity. It's going to be a jury that tells you that. It's your right as an American to go to trial. Now, why is this bill will create another gate that has to be passed through only in certain cases, as the senator from District 13 has said, and it's even earlier than that motion to dismiss stage. It is designed for cases where it's not the outcome of the trial.
All right, ever the good lawyer, Senator Ruckty here will fully explain to us why he supports this bill, but that's good to hear. So this is getting bipartisan support, as it should. Much different than last year when Senator Lenny brought this legislation. In fact, I don't even think it made it out of committee. I could be wrong, but I don't think it even made it out of committee because there were some personal vendettas against Senator Lenny. But he has patched up some friendships. There has been some people voted out, some new blood in, and this bill is expected to get passed in the Senate and make its way over to the House. We've been jumping back and forth here between the House and the Senate this morning as we open the program. I thank you for joining us. We have had quite an impact on YouTube over the last few days. One of our videos just like blew up out there. It's the one that described how Fauci's pardon at the federal level may not be valid in Idaho. In fact, it's not valid in Idaho if there were crimes committed here. So I want to welcome all of our new viewers to the program here from YouTube. We thank you for being here. We cover Idaho news. We'll do it live. We'll cover what's going on in committee. This morning in committee, we had the mask mandate bill. So we're going to get into all of that. We got some great clips to show you from the mask mandate bill that was being held in committee this morning. Let's bring up the live shot here from the House because I believe they're going to be voting on this House Joint Memorial. This is going to be a little closer than maybe some would have thought, but it looks like 46-24 is the tally here. We'll break that down for you on social media. I'm sure a lot of people will have a lot of opinions on that vote there, but that's how it went. We are going to take a quick break. We'll be back to get into the mask mandate bills that happened this morning. Brian Allman will be on after the top of the hour to go over some of the other things that we saw happen in committee this morning. So I thank you for joining us. We will be right back.
And that's exactly what happened. You want to pull the tape? You can pull the tape because we now got video.
Idaho is the dirt under your fingernails after an honest day's work. Idaho is the hug around your neck when your daughter spells her first word. Idaho is the written word of the law, steadfast and impartial, guarding liberty for all. Idaho is the family rifle passed down, a legacy of protection and the right to stand firm. Idaho is the echo of your own voice, unshaken and free, standing tall among the world's silenced. Idaho is the home that's built to weather storms, not empty wallets. Idaho is the quiet trust between a patient and healer, unbroken and sacred. Idaho is the hymn carried by the Spirit, gathering neighbors together in faith and purpose. Idaho is the laughter around a campfire, a family's bond growing stronger with every word. Idaho is the pioneer's will, firm and clear. We govern ourselves, free and unbound. Idaho is what America was. Let's keep it that way. Ask your legislator to sign the Citizens Alliance of Idaho pledge to preserve our shared values. We ride together.
Okay, go, Mommy.
Put your mask on. No, you gotta wear it on, honey. No, you gotta keep it on.
What's wrong?
I thought I was in trouble.
You're not in trouble. Why'd you think you were in trouble?
I don't know.
For what? What did you think you were in trouble for?
I didn't do anything.
I know you didn't do anything, honey. What'd you think you were in trouble for? Was it the mask?
Yeah.
Yeah, you tried to not wear a mask? Because you don't like them. They hurt your head, right?
There's a special place in hell for these people who have done this to this man's daughter.
The concerned parent says a teacher tied a mask around the face of his special needs daughter.
The mask was quite tight on her face, which was, of course, obstructing her ability to speak and her ability to breathe.
Well, that father is blaming the school mask mandates for his daughter Sophia's suffering.
Fox 35's Holly Bristow spoke with him today, and Holly, he's hoping change comes as a result of what happened to his daughter.
He certainly is, and tonight he tells me that he's speaking out in hopes that this does not happen to another special needs child. He tells me his daughter with Down syndrome is non-communicative and was unable to tell her parents that this was even happening.
Yes, sir. I 100% agree that you have
And this final shot are parents and kids in front of the Boise Capitol burning masks during the pandemic. Welcome back, everybody. This morning in the House State Affairs Committee, everyone's favorite committee, the mask mandate bill was back. And as one legislator stood up or sat there behind the dais saying that she was sick of seeing this bill, we thought we passed this already. We're sick of seeing it too. This morning, I had the pleasure to testify as well, and I did so remotely from the studio here, and that was great because what I had done, we posted on the Telegram channel there that sent in some written testimony. And along with your signatures, over 1,400 signatures that came in on this particular issue to go along with the 1,800 that we had back in 2022 on this issue. And when you watch that footage of those kids, just the kids alone that had to deal with these mask mandates, and I know most of those videos were not from Idaho, but it happened here in Idaho. I had to send my child to public school kindergarten, wearing a mask, and it was horrible. It was horrible. They would not let him go in unless he had a mask, and so it was such a disturbing time. Such a disturbing time. There was even a story we were trying to find a written copy of the story about a middle school that when certain kids at the middle school, certain kids decided that they would protest wearing a mask. And they were all quarantined in a room and kept there against their will and said, you cannot be in your class. You cannot go walk around the school. And it was done in a middle school in my school district. And so the people have had enough. The people have had enough. And yeah, so let's break down this hearing this morning. It's a disturbing issue, folks. It's a disturbing issue. But Representative Rob Beiswinger, it was his turn to carry this bill in committee, and we'll get to his closing remarks here in a bit. But the interesting thing about some of the questions that were asked of him begin with Representative Todd Achilles. I just want to play a little bit of this. So let's roll this real quick.
Bill. Representative Beiswinger. Mr. Chairman, thank you, Representative Achilles. No, I've not, and I am not.
Oh, I think we need to back it up
Mr.
here.
Chairman, Representative Beiswinger, up. Mr. Chairman, Representative Beiswinger, up. Are you an epidemiologist, or do you consult with any epidemiologists or public health officials in writing this bill? Representative Beiswinger. Mr. Chairman, thank you, Representative Achilles. No, I've not, and I am not. So.
Yeah. Okay. Great. That
Certainly.
question,
Yeah.
folks, that question is like from 2020. Are you a scientist? Are you an epidemiologist? Like, how many times have we seen the reports come out? I mean, where does this representative live? These people are stuck. They are stuck in 2020. Some of them still walk around wearing masks. Some of them still are driving cars alone wearing masks, right? It's incredible that question keeps popping up, especially when we have, where did it go? Pull it up here. The report, we have the COVID pandemic report. This is the COVID pandemic report that was released in December 4th, 2024. This is the after action review. This thing is over 500 pages long, and there are about 10 or 11 pages in here that are devoted specifically to masks, to masking. And their findings in here, which are marked in green, if you cycle through here, you can go through here. There's one in green. It says public health officials flip-flopping on the efficacy and use of face masks without full scientific transparency caused mistrust in public health establishments, right? The final finding in this report dealt with the videos that we just saw in the beginning here. Forcibly masking young children ages 2 and older caused more harm than good. More harm than good. Okay? We're done with the masks. Yet, even after all of this, even after the precious New York Times publishes a study that said masks didn't do anything. I mean, look at that chart right there. We've pointed out on this chart that high spike of those are daily cases. The rate of daily cases, right? However you want to say it. The tops of the spike right there, that big one, is in places that had a mask mandate. And the orange are places that didn't have a mask mandate. So while that particular date right there saw a huge increase in daily doses or daily cases of COVID, it didn't matter whether you were wearing a mask or not. And according to that chart, if there was a mask mandate, it was worse. So after all of this, and I'm sick, we are just so sick and tired of litigating this. But after all of this, when a bill finally comes forward that says you got it wrong, health districts, you got it wrong, school districts, you got it wrong, city councils, you got it wrong, county officials, you got it wrong, judges, you got it wrong. They still show up with their representatives and say what this woman said here. Kelly Packard, who represents the cities or something. Let's watch her.
Your local electeds aren't out to harm their residents by throwing them in jail for a mask mandate or for trying to or in violation of something that none of us knew how to handle. They're simply trying their best to manage a very chaotic and uncertain circumstance, an emergency. And that's why we're asking that you allow them the tools to do that. Again, I think that you're going to find.
Now, let's get out of this. The reason why we're showing that particular clip is because that's Kelly Packard of the, what was the name of it again? The Association of Idaho Cities. That was her last session. And we decided to show last year's clip because she had the exact same argument this year. It's the same thing. So she's representing a place called the Association of Idaho Cities, Kelly Packard. She's also a former legislator. But she's representing the Association of Idaho Cities. And if we have that website, let's bring that up. What apparently this is this is a nonprofit organization. This is a nonprofit organization that that go to the front page here, and then we'll go to their partners. But this is a nonprofit organization that says we're here to provide resources. We're here to just sort of unite. It's almost like a union for cities and city officials and stuff, right? And so they have all of these resources, all of these things, and they speak with one voice and all this stuff. It's very, very collectivist mentality. It's ridiculous. But what's fascinating about this? What's fascinating about this is that over at the affiliate side, right, you could become an affiliate. And what does that mean? What does that mean? Look at all these partners. Scroll down here. Here's your title partner, which is iCrimp, right? Your premier level. All these people here donate money. Blue Cross of Idaho. Idaho Central Credit Union, Blue Cross of Idaho again. They want to be two different tiers. Another another health thing. I mean, all of these banks, these insurance companies, power companies, just these big corporations, Zion's Bank, all of these things pay money. And what do they pay money for? Let's go to the breakdown. Look at this this PDF here. Let's go to the AIC PDF. And this here will show you, here's their partner program, right? This tells you your membership benefits, not the members of the cities, but the membership if you're a company. And if you're a company, you get to go on to this, you get to pay money and partner with the AIC and get all these perks and benefits. And all these perks and benefits, that the highest one is $40,000 for the year. And all of these things allow you access. They allow you access to your city officials. You get invited to dinners and parties. You get resources. You get all this sort. It's basically access. You're basically paying for access, right? So if you're one of those, Blue Cross Blue Shield, those banks, those health companies, you get to pay to access. Do you have that kind of access as a city person? Do you just get your 3 minutes when you show up for public comment? Right? Is that it? You just get your 3 minutes, or you get to write a letter. Or you get to try and bump into them on the street and have them go, oh, right? Or do you get the kind of access that all those companies do through this nonprofit organization, who then sends people down to the Capitol and says, we need the power to mask the people, because what if we don't know what's coming? We don't know what's coming. We need the power to put masks on your children. We need that. We still need that kind of power. After everything we've gone through, you saw those children. Those kids are your kids. You have your own experiences. You have your own experiences of what happened, right? I have mine. My friends have theirs. And here we are once again. So this bill's going to go through the House. It's going to get through. And the Senate, you will not ignore this. You will pass it. You will pass it. And it will become law. And this is going to be the tool that when you show up to your city council, you say, you will not do this. You will tell your school districts, you will not do this. And there will be accountability. There will be accountability. I'm not messing around. When Representative Josh Tanner stands up there and says, hey, everybody, Fauci's pardon, that's not valid in Idaho. We're not going away, folks. It's a new day. It is a new day. An absolutely new day. There it is. There's the petition. Thank you for keeping me on track here. Cycle through this. I want to show you all the names. This is the most latest one. Page after page. We sent this into the committee this morning. We sent it to Representative Beiswinger and Senator Brian Lenny, who's going to carry it on the Senate side. But these are all the names so far. Not all of them. I don't even know if this PDF has all of them. There was a size limit of the thing we could upload. So there it is. It just keeps going. We're not stopping. So leave us a comment. Are we on the right track here? Give me a comment. Leave a voicemail. You see the phone number down at the bottom, 208-402-4915. Well, we got a voicemail earlier today, or we're going to play later today. We got a voicemail over the weekend that we're going to play that speaks generally to this larger issue here. So yeah, folks, we're not stopping. We had some other footage from this hearing, I think. Let's have Representative Beiswinger bring it home. Go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. I'd like your green light on this bill. It's really a simple bill. It really, I think, as kind of Representative Barbieri referenced, it makes this really a better situation for everyone. city officials who I assume are not also epidemiologists or doctors or scientists, or most of them. City officials still come forward. They can get advice. They're getting fed information. They can come back to us and say, hey, citizens, we think you should do X, Y, or Z. We recommend you do X, Y, or Z. This bill simply says we're not going to throw them in jail. We're not going to give them prohibitive fines for it. It just takes the rights back to the citizens, and government can still have its function of, trying to help us. They can try and protect us and all those things, but as we saw, they were wrong then, and we need to protect ourselves going forward. And I urge a green light on this bill.
Thank you, Representative. Are there questions for the representative? Seeing none, House Bill 32 is proper.
And it did. It sailed through. Jenny says, hate the masks. Yes, don't let it go. Thank you, Jenny. Thank you. You're a patriot. Fantastic. Well, it got over the next hurdle, so which we knew it would. It sailed through state affairs on a party line vote. The 2 Democrats voted against it. What is it with Democrats and these masks, man? I don't get it. Like, I have so much disrespect. How do you watch that video? Sorry. How do you watch those kids and say, sorry. But my cousin's autoimmune. And so, and the masks don't even work. All right. I believe Brian Allman is with us soon, so we're going to take a short break. I'm going to we'll take a break. We'll be back.
We need to start making Idaho first, meeting the needs of Idaho families.
Idaho lawmakers swear an oath to support the Idaho and U.S. constitutions. But how's that working out for you? Because not all Idaho lawmakers share the same values. That's where the Citizens Alliance of Idaho pledge comes in. 10 statements inspired by those 2 founding documents that are designed to preserve our shared values. Values such as education freedom, safeguarding free speech, defending our protected right to self-defense, and being responsible stewards of taxpayer dollars. When a lawmaker signs the pledge, they are performing an act of political courage, accepting the challenge to be a champion for our values, and serving with political integrity. To find out if your lawmaker signed the pledge, visit idahopledge.com. Paid for by Citizens Alliance of Idaho. We ride together.
Hi, Matt. My name's Trisha, and I'm from Burley. You've mentioned on the show a lot about people killing bills in drawers in committees, not letting them be sent to the committee and debated on the committee or on the floor. I was doing some research. I came across an article back in 2022 from the Idaho Capital Sun. It's talking about Patty Ann Lodge, who was a senator back then, and she held a couple of bills, and I found it interesting that she actually confesses as to why she did so. And these couple of bills were about specifically transgender medical care and obscene materials in libraries. And she says, when I read the bills, I thought, oh, you've got to be kidding me. How did these pass the House? When they came in, I said, how could anybody read this and think this is right? This is not social justice in any way. I was asked by many, many senators to hold the bills because they knew they were wrong. They knew they were wrong. So she admits right there that she personally had an issue with the bills, and you and I both know how disrespectful that is to the 70 or so people on the House side who clearly don't think it's wrong, that they voted it through. And and then she doesn't have faith in the process of having it heard in the Senate committee or floor, or even the governor could veto them. And if they're so black and white, cut and dry, obviously wrong, then why doesn't she trust the process that they will be killed eventually, instead of taking matters into her own hands and killing them herself? You and I both know it's just undermining the whole process of the legislator, and she's just not doing her job.
Thank you, Trisha from Burley. Fantastic. You can leave your voicemail at 208-402-4915. We will play it on the air just like we did Trisha from Burley. And Trisha, you're right. We highlighted, that's one of the big stories that we broke on when before we had Idaho Signal, but one of the big stories that we broke where we did a FOIA request, a public records request on Senator Lodge's emails, because she would claim that she got thousands and thousands of emails from and I forget what the issue was. It wasn't masking. It was I forget what it was, but she claimed she got 1,000 emails against a particular issue. I think it might have been ballots, drop boxes. You know, where you put your ballot in the drop box rather than taking them to the election office or putting them in your own mailbox. What a concept, to put a mail-in ballot in your own mailbox. But she said she claimed she got a ton of email, 1,000, she said. And we requested all of her emails, and she had one. So, that was Senator Patty Ann Lodge, and she was head of the Senate State Affairs Committee, and she would stop bills just based on her own idea. Very, very good, Trisha from Burley. See, that's what you do, folks. That's what you got to do. Research, go back online, read those articles, and share them with your friends. So we're glad to do that. Brian Allman, I believe, is with us. Brian, how you doing, brother? You know this story very well. Bills, they pass committee, and then they pass the House, and then they get stuck over in the Senate. I'm hopeful. Hopefully, is it hopeful optimism that things have changed? We won't know yet because we haven't really seen a big juicy bill get over there yet. But quick take on that for you.
Well, I think the mask mandate bill will be a good bellwether for how that's going to go, because that was one of the bills that last year it passed the House, and then it went and it died in Senator Jim Guthrie's drawer in Senate State Affairs. He really did pick up right where Senator Patty Ann Lodge left off. It seems like the purpose of the Senate State Affairs chair is to block legislation that the leadership doesn't want to hear. Even last year, on the last day of the session, Senator Tammy Nichols made a motion on the floor to pull that mask mandate bill out of the drawer, out of Senate State Affairs, and put it before the Senate. And of course, Democrats and their friends in the Republican Party killed that idea, saying we need to respect the committee process. Well, the committee process is a little bit broken here, don't you think?
Yeah, it is, man. And should chairmen have some discretion on bills? Should they kind of look at it from a standpoint of saying, like, I from what I'm hearing, people are going to have a major issue with this particular component of the bill, so maybe you should go back and try and fix it or do something else. I mean, those types of things where you're trying to give constructive criticism on a bill can be helpful, but to just deny the will of the other body.
Especially the ones that have passed one body and then are just being held up by a single person on the other side. Even the governor, if he vetoes a bill, it can be overridden by 2/3 of the legislature.
Right.
So some of these committee chairs have essentially more power than the governor.
Yes, exactly. Okay, very good. Well, other things in this morning in where are my notes here? Over in the House Rev and Tax, Representative Jason Monks had a bill that ups the food tax credit. I know this is going to be this has always been a big contentious topic. The fact that we tax groceries is like ridiculous. But I'm just an anti-tax person in general, so to speak. But I understand the arguments, even conservative arguments, when it comes to taxing food, because we have out-of-state. We're a big tourist state, so we can generate a lot of money off of that. But when it comes to the tax credit portion, kind of walk us through a little bit here, Brian, if you will, on what this bill this morning does and what you believe it hopes to accomplish.
So Representative Monks presented an RS, so it's just getting printed just now, to raise the grocery tax credit. Now, what is the grocery tax credit? There's been some contention about that. It wasn't actually called that in statute until 2008. However, in my research, I found that it was colloquially referred to as a grocery tax credit. The legislators who created the sales tax in the first place, way back in 1965, they knew that taxing food was at the very least unpopular. And so they, at the same time, created this credit that you claim on your income taxes. And that started really, really low. It was like $5 or $10 at first, and it stayed that way for a long time. But over the last couple of years,
well, the sales tax was low then too, right?
Sales tax originally started at 3%, and it crept up all the way to 6% by the early 2000s.
Yeah, so we've doubled. Not only do we have inflation, but we double the percentage.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. Go ahead. Sorry.
So that's been the debate. Even from just within a year or two after the sales tax was first implemented back in 1965, you had people saying that we need to exempt groceries from that tax. So this has been a long-standing debate for the last 60 years in the Idaho legislature. And there's a lot of attempts lately to what they call repeal the grocery tax, exempt groceries from sales tax like they do in a lot of other states. And that's been a one push this year. But then on the other hand, there's others who say, well, let's keep the tax and just increase the credit. So what Representative Monks presented would increase that tax credit. Right now, it's $120 per person. And that's person, that's adults and children. Me and my family of 7, that's a lot of money for us. We actually get more back via the tax credit than we pay in grocery sales tax. Other families are different. If you're just say a couple, retired couple, empty nesters who, enjoy really fine foods, then you're going to be subsidizing that through your grocery tax purchases. So right now, citizens get 120 back and senior citizens get 140 back. Representative Monks' bill would change that to 155 for everybody. It would flatten it out so that everybody can claim the same grocery tax credit. And he claims that this would give about a $50 million tax relief back to the people of Idaho.
Okay, so and he laid out some math here. He said a family of 4 would get about $620 back a year, which would cover like almost just over 10 grand worth of groceries, if that's how much you spend. So you guys can figure out your own math on that and go back through all your receipts and stuff. What I found interesting though, Brian, and this has been the most frustrating thing for me on this issue, is we don't have any clue how much. I won't say any clue. There are clues out there to how much money is generated through grocery sales tax alone by itself. We can see how much sales tax the state is pulling in, but they have to use estimates and they have to use different other states' examples to figure out how much of that tax revenue comes specifically from groceries. We don't know that. But what I found very interesting, and let's make sure we have that clip queued up to the beginning. Let's listen to Representative Monks kind of lay out a little bit of that here, because I have a question for you. Let's go.
We're collecting that tax. We do not separate out taxes when we receive that from grocery stores. So Walmart, we get a report from them. We don't know necessarily exactly how much is from groceries, how much is from electronics, how much is from clothing or anything else. And so that's a guess. I do know we collect sales tax on groceries from people from out of state. And being that tourism is one of our largest industries here in the state, we get a lot of money that comes in from that. That wouldn't change in this scenario. And so that money that we're collecting from those individuals from out of state when they spend their money here, or people who don't file taxes, we're collecting it all and we're not paying any of it back. So I don't know, but I do know that this is a $50 million tax break to the citizens of Idaho. That's what I do know. That's what it will save. Part of I think a larger package this year that we're trying to cut taxes across the board. This is another $50 million that we'd like to cut. At least I would like to be cutting with that.
Okay, Allman, listen to this. Walmart has to tax groceries if they're going to operate in Idaho. But across some of these borders in other states where they don't tax groceries, their machines are set up to not add tax to your tally when you're checking out. So we know that the software exists to either add and not have tax, and there must be a way to run a report that shows how much tax was on a specific item, because if you can identify what a grocery is in order to tax it or not tax it, depending on what state you're in, you should be able to run a report at the end of the year or the end of the day, whatever it is, that shows how much tax you collected for a particular a particular whatever you want, a particular bucket of goods. And so why? I mean, is it against is it unconstitutional to force a company to tell us how much, to divide up the taxes that way? Because I'd like to know. We would like to know how much money is sales tax generating, because if we can figure that out, then we can start from a point where we can say, this is how much is coming in, this is how much is going out, and have a better handle on this topic. Otherwise, we're just screaming at each other over this issue.
Yeah, it's one of those things that's we just don't know. I saw some numbers from Legislative Services that suggested that we're taking in approximately $400 million due to sales taxes on groceries, and they come to that number via a 12.4% multiplier, and I think that was mentioned during the hearing this morning. Where did they get that number? Again, I'm not sure. I guess, like you said, they take it from other states, or they just do these estimates. It would be interesting. Just while you had the clip playing, I went over to my financial spreadsheet. I keep pretty good numbers. And last year, our share of the sales tax we paid as a family, 51% of it was actually for groceries. So that's a significant chunk of what I spent on it, because I don't know if that's typical for a family my size and age, but that's just my one anecdote here, which is obviously a lot more than that 12% that they're estimating.
So 51% of the sales tax that you paid was groceries.
Correct.
Right. Well, it also just shows that you spend most of your money providing for your family's food rather than going out and stocking the shelves with knickknacks and all sorts of things. So again, and that just proves the point. It could vary. I mean, if you're spending that much on food, I mean, whatever the math is, I guess it comes down to then the question is, since you're getting money back and you're actually not paying sales tax if you're an Idaho resident. I guess the question is then, what is the state doing with the money it collects all year? Is it using it to gain interest rate, an interest? Like what is it doing with the money? Because the argument is, why even take it if you're just going to give it back to me, right?
Right. Well, and that's the argument that Representative Monks makes there, is that they take in more than they spend out because of people who are tourists or passing through the state, or people who, for whatever reason, don't file a tax return. And that really is the philosophical question at the heart of this debate. Should they keep the tax and just give the credit, continue raising the credit to essentially take some of that and spread it out to Idaho families, or should they exempt groceries from the sales tax altogether?
That's the question. So, well, I know we're going to see multiple bills on this issue, and so we'll have to keep track on that. And I don't know, whatever we can do to just allow us to keep our money. Like let's just keep going in that direction, please. Okay. Other news in let's see, which one do we want to get to? I don't know if we have time to get to everything, but well, I guess just real quick, Speaker of the House Moyle was in the Senate side, State Affairs, with his code cleanup bill, and that sailed through committee really easily. But Senator Ben Taves was the sponsor on the Senate side for a bill that would allow the Attorney General to investigate or to take care of any city official crimes that the county would ignore or whatever. It would give a path forward for folks who may feel that there was a crime committed by a city official. And
currently, the county officials, the AG has the ability to investigate them, but not city officials. And the sponsors are saying it's essentially just an oversight, that it's a loophole that needs to be closed up.
Yeah. So we have a clip here from Senator Ben Taves. He got back up on the dais there to kind of, I guess, answer a question real quick about this bill. So let's watch that.
Chairman Guthrie and members of the committee. Yeah, I'm, as the sponsor, I'm open to sending it to the 14th. I would just add that I think that it's a realistic scenario that you have a complaint against a city official for a criminal complaint. And literally, if it isn't addressed by the county, there's no further recourse. And so my concern is that there should be a way for a citizen or a staff member to be able to deal with something that's that serious that isn't being handled at the county level.
Senator Anthony?
Yeah, I mean, it's a no-brainer, especially when we were talking earlier about the mask mandates and things that happened at the city level, right? If there was somebody that wanted to sue their city official for breaking the law and the county said, "No, we're not going to do it," there was no recourse.
Right. And one of the arguments I've heard is that city officials or even county officials are very hesitant to open an investigation against their own people because that can obviously cause a little bit of friction there in those departments. So that's why you give it to an outside agency, in this case, the Attorney General's office.
Yeah, that's
I do
right.
remember last year there was a bill that Representative Skog and I think Senator Taves was part of that would have created a pathway for recourse if government officials violated your constitutional rights. And I keep hearing rumors that it might come back, and that would be another good thing, especially in light of all the mask mandate nonsense from 2020.
Absolutely. I mean, when I think about the fact that, like, if you're seriously telling me that a county official, I'm not saying that this happened, but let's say that there was a city that arrested people for not wearing a mask out in public because they were singing. And then, and they, that would never happen in Idaho, but it did. But if that were to happen and you wanted to sue that city official, or you wanted them to be brought up on charges, it's not about a civil lawsuit, which you can do, of course. It's about saying, hey, you broke the law, and the county, and then the county official or the county AG or whatever you want to call him says, I just had lunch with the guy yesterday. Like, we're on good terms. We go golfing we're neighbors, whatever it is, because we're a small town community state. Like, you're so right. Like, you got to have a steely backbone, and you got to be able to hold people accountable. It's absolutely ridiculous. So, very good. All right. What else happened what else happened today that we wanted to get to? The SLAPP bill, it passed the Senate floor today, right?
I think so. I've been on here.
We were watching it as well, but they don't have a tally board, so you have to listen if they're doing a roll call.
It'll be interesting to see that roll call, especially since this anti-SLAPP bill was defeated on the Senate floor last year, and
that's right.
Most likely because a lot of people were angry at Senator Lenny and wanted to just kill his bill. So hopefully that has now passed. We're in a new era, and we'll see some more cooperation and movement on good conservative bills.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, if you like to get into the drama, the behind the scenes drama of this stuff, that bill tally might be an interesting one to look at. Later today, I've got the Senate committee later today, folks. You got it. So here's the thing. So I testified this morning. I did it remotely from the studio on the mask mandate bill, which means that you can do this in almost every committee. Not every committee takes remote testimony. They will take written testimony, but not every committee takes remote video testimony. But you can do it. And later today, in the is it the health and welfare? Senator Lenny has another bill that he's presenting in health and welfare today. They're not doing public hearing on it, but maybe I'm thinking of
it's health and welfare today, an RS related to public health districts.
Yeah, but I guess I'm thinking the Senate Judiciary and Rules. Senator Nichols has the swatting bill, right? So that's today at 1:30 Mountain Time. If you want to, so it's coming up in about an hour. If you want to testify, go down there or testify remotely. Real quick, give us a background on this swatting bill.
So swatting is the act of calling in a false report in attempts to harm somebody. So like a political figure you don't like, you'll call the police and tell them that there's something bad going on at their house and you'd better come rescue them, or hostages or threats or whatever. And so the SWAT team comes in, guns blazing, and people get hurt, people get killed. Right now, according to the law, the only thing those people can be charged with is filing a false report, which is a very low-level crime. Senator Nichols' bill would recognize that this is something people do, and it needs to be cracked down on, and it would raise the penalties for doing that. And she'll be presenting that here in just a few minutes.
Yes, very good, very good. All right, Brian. Well, thanks for hopping on with us today and driving through these committees and this stuff. Where can people follow you and get more of your work?
As always, gemstatechronicle.com. I'll keep writing about what's going on and try and catch up on the session snapshot. There's been a flurry of new bills, which is exciting. And also on Twitter at GemStateBrian. I live tweeted a couple committee hearings this morning, so check it out.
Yeah, fantastic. All right, good to see you, Brian. We'll see you back here tomorrow. As for you folks, we'll see you tomorrow as well. Real quickly, though, I need my coffee. I need another cup of coffee here. I didn't have it with me, but where do I get my coffee? At Life Public House and Coffee in Coeur d'Alene, Idaho. That's up here in Kootenai County. LifeCDA.com. Use the promo code SIGNAL. Get 10% off your online order. I order the middle bag there, the Mineral Ridge. That's my fave. Very good. All right, folks, it was a busy day. Yes, Watchwoman Deborah, please be praying for our representatives and senators. Absolutely. They're doing really good work. This is going to be a banger of a year, folks. And we're just getting started. So we will see you back here tomorrow. Thank you so much. We'll see you then. Take care.
This bill, I think, puts a stake in the ground that says we have a sovereign right to protect